Hey, Mary, I am so excited to dive in here today as we've recently launched our Brain Ops Brain Resiliency Program, specifically for healthcare workers, focusing on residents, doctors, faculty, and healthcare workers in general, nurses, and everything in between. So, one of the questions that we have been asked a few times this week, and I know that if there's a few questions, then there's a lot of questions, is really like, what can we do for our team? So, this is a question that came from a program director, and she was wondering what could she do for her team right now. Her team is exhausted. They're fatigued from the world in general, from the marathon of COVID that we've been in, and really trying to build resiliency and focus on stress management feels hard and kind of overwhelming in general. This is what the question was. So let's boil it down. Of course, this is exactly what we focus on in our 8-week program, but let's give some specifics on where to start if your team is running on empty from stress, from burnout, from exhaustion, and you're kind of like grasping at straws right now.
Yeah. And I think the first thing is just acknowledge, yes, absolutely. We understand you guys are tired. You've been through a marathon, right? And just acknowledge your physical needs, that, the body is tired. The brain has been through a lot. It's been trying to strategize and make, jump all these hurdles for the last few years. So, I love reading the research about brain health and resiliency and, how you can support your brain and just keeping amazing humans out there, especially our residents and our fellows who are next generation doctors. So I really want to support them. So as I dove through the literature, it turns out, we developed our framework, you and I, because the literature suggests that it's great. We don't have to do everything, so we can put all our activity and our energy into these three buckets. So our framework, we boiled it down to CLE. So we're from Cleveland, Ohio. So the C is connection. How well we connect and belong in a team is absolutely priority. So the team, we need to feel like we belong, and you do belong. We're all in this together, and you need to feel like lifestyle. Our daily actions matter as well. So we need to realize that every action we take throughout our day is either really supporting our brain or not, right? So we don't have to be perfect. There's no perfect. It's just learning some of these daily tools that can really help to support busy people like residents and fellows and the program directors. So if you meet a group of amazing people, the program directors have the largest, we would say, heart, which really, emotions come from the brain. So then that's the last part of our framework is emotional processing. So program directors tend to really just love their teams and really want to do the best for them. So we're so honored that you're leading these teams, even though the teams are tired. So, with our framework, we tell you, you have to be active in these three buckets. This is really important. Don't waste your time on other stuff, but start here. So it's connection, lifestyle, emotional processing. So Allie, give them a couple tips. Where could they start with all this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is the priorities, right? Knowing what the priorities are. And we get into the nitty gritty in our course of like, exactly what do we mean by connection? How much time do we need for it to matter to the resiliency? Of course, what does lifestyle habits look like? And what are kind of the rules for that? And then emotional processing. But knowing in general, just giving yourself a quick 1 through 10, how connected you're feeling, you know, in your life in general is going to help to know, is this an area that you really need to focus on? Again, same thing, evaluating how connected or how are you practicing these lifestyle habits. So we're talking sleep, we're talking exercise, we're talking nutrition. When you think kind of big picture, what does that look like in your life on a scale of 1 to 10? So engaging with your team right now who is tired and having these conversations, we know these things matter, and really just asking them to have some self-awareness on that. And then of course, the emotional processing. Are you holding it all in, stuffing it down, kind of crumbling or falling apart? Are you managing your stress well? Do you have techniques in place? So I think when it comes to program directors and team leaders and managers, having the conversation and knowing for themselves what matters most is so important, because then they can start to be able to say to their team, like, hey, this is what matters most. And I want to make sure that you're being filled up in these buckets, right? And so I think when it comes to people in general, especially healthcare, especially residents, we don't have enough time. Like there's just a million things that we could spend time on. So number one is prioritizing this and yourself and having that awareness to know where you are right now. Number two is recognizing, exactly like you said, there is no perfect way. So doing something to move forward a little bit is always going to be better than doing nothing, or just saying like, I'm going to wait for the perfect moment, because there never is a perfect moment. So recognizing that and just saying like, I'm going to take messy action. I'm going to take messy action. I'm going to just do one thing. One thing is always better than nothing when it comes to taking care of myself. And then on that same line, bringing it down to like today. So, even if you have a conversation with your team, with these residents, with the healthcare workers, and say like, well, what are you doing for yourself today? What are you doing for yourself this week? What are you doing for yourself right now? Not saying like, let me help you figure out this master plan that you can put into your life. That's not what it's about. It's about building these tiny habits that become action, that become a part of who you are, that truly make the difference. So this is exactly what we focus on in our program. And I mean, it's crazy that it serves this huge need right now, because we don't need a perfect plan. We need everyone to start understanding that like they are so valuable and important that they need to make some time in these spaces each and every day so that they can continue to share their gifts with the world. Because, if we don't take a little bit of time now, then of course we're not going to have the ability to do what we ultimately want to do in all of the spaces. So if you are a program director and this question resonates with you, then we would love to have a conversation. We have residents in our program right now. We have healthcare workers in our program right now who are going through learning Mary's research, learning the science, learning the evidence and the data around what matters most, and then taking the application from a life coach perspective of like, well, how do I fit this in if I'm so busy, if I don't have time, if I have all these obstacles that I know. So this is exactly what we do. And as program directors, like Mary said, we see you, we support you, and we know that you're looking for resources. And if anything, we're happy to have a conversation of how we can support that. So we look forward to hearing from you. And we have been getting quite a few questions lately about our program. So we're going to be sharing each week, just little by little, more and more. So feel free to pass this along, and we hope to hear from you.
Yeah, stay well.